60 minutes of fun coming down the pipe, and the internationality of the league taking center stage once again this weekend. And with that, welcome to Total Access alongside Lindsey Rhodes. I'm Cole Wright. And Lindsey, internationality is indeed a word. Look it up.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Guarantee it.
I'm going to take your word for it. We are all over this London game, as you mentioned. Not only the London game, though. Kareem Hunt coming up ahead of that Chiefs-Broncos tilt. But you're right. Jags-Eagles is first up on Sunday, and it is first up here as well. Both teams having arrived this morning after red-eye flights last night, probably exhausted and definitely tired of losing. Both teams 3-4 and in desperate need of a win.
As a quarterback and just the leaders in general, it's really on a lot of us to get everyone going again and realize, record aside, that doesn't matter. The goal is to go 1-0 every week, and especially the division we're in, it's kind of wide open. So at this point of the year, not where we want to be, but we still have the whole season in front of us.
I think adversity brings the best out of us all. That's kind of just how it goes. You show your true character when things are going bad, and you need guys to step up and do their job. And so as a leader, this is when you really earn your stripes.
There's no pointing of the finger. They've embraced everything. They know that they've let some games slip, and they're excited to get back out on the field.
And they will do just that at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, a game you can watch right here on NFL Network. Last three games not so good for either team here, though the Eagles at least have a win in that time, and their losses have come in really close games. That has not been the case for Jacksonville, outscored 28-90. And that was with A.J. Boye, who they will not have this week. The cornerback ruled out with a calf injury. How does that change things for Jacksonville, Maurice Jones-Drew?
Well, in the whole philosophy, they want to be able to play great defense and run the ball. I think it forces them offensively to go back to what they want to do. Defensively, though, it's Jalen Ramsey and three rookies. So now you have to lean on Calais Campbell in that pass rush, Lindsey. Those guys have to get to the quarterback. They have to affect Carson Wentz all over. You can't let them get set and throw the ball and try to pick on these guys. I think when you go back to the offense, though, it forces them to get back to Carlos Hyde, run the ball. You have to run the ball, play action pass, keep this offense off the field, play keep away. It's not going to be one of those pretty games, those high-scoring games that we like to see. This is going to be old-fashioned Green Bay Packers, Cowboys ice bowl. Turn around, hand the ball off 4 times. Don't punt. Just hand it off and play field position if you can and try to score as many points you can that way.
Leonard Fournette officially ruled out today. So, as you mentioned, Carlos Hyde, it'll be his game. It is an early one, this one, just like last week, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. One bit of good news for you, though. You don't have to wake up even earlier than that to set your fantasy lineup. No one on offense is questionable in this game as of now, so you will not get Melvin Gordon.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Case on a deep drop, steps up in the pocket.
Rematch versus New Orleans, and Griffin absent from the team for the last month after dealing with mental health-related issues. So let's get this over to Eagan, Minnesota. Tom Pelissero with more on Griffin and then some.
The Vikings removed Everson Griffin from the injury report on Friday, an indication their star defensive end will return to action Sunday night against the Saints. Griffin rejoined the team this week after spending roughly a month addressing what I've reported is a mental health-related issue, and in Griffin's words, trying to find balance in his life. On the field, safety Harrison Smith told me he's still Everson. Griffin's return would be a boost for a Vikings team that ruled out 4 starters because of injuries, including linebacker Anthony Barr and running back Dalvin Cook. This is a rematch of January's thrilling playoff game, but don't think the Vikings have been reliving the Minneapolis Miracle this week. Smith told me they have not seen Stephon Diggs' improbable touchdown in a team meeting since an off-season discussion about end-of-game situations, and Diggs did not address the media this week.
Thank you, Tom. Now, Minnesota's defense tops in the NFL just a season ago. This year, however, just a slight departure, at least in those early goings. The last 3, well, they have been razor sharp. So, Rod Woodson, Hall of Famer, who has the edge, the Vikings D or that Saints offense?
First, let me say I like to see Everson Griffin. Glad you're back in the National Football League. Glad you're back with your team. And you look at this defense. We know what this defense has done in the last 3 weeks. Only 18 points, but it's going against the Saints. And it's a quarterback that went to Purdue. And Drew Brees, I know he, in the playoff game, 3 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. But since that game, he has not thrown an interception in the regular season. So I have to go with my Boilermaker. I have to go with Drew Brees. He has been lighting people up. He is an 18-year vet. He's seen everything. He's played against his defense. So boiler up, hammer down.
I like where your head's at, Rod.
Yeah.
Drew Brees, one of the best
Like
to
it.
ever do it. Now we move along to the Rams, the league's lone unbeaten, readying themselves for Sunday versus Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at the Coliseum. And judging by the offensive numbers, well, it should be a high-scoring affair. Both offenses ranking inside the league's top 5. And here now, Steve Weich in Thousand Oaks with the Rams playing on D.
Regardless how you approach Rams players about Sunday's game against Green Bay, the conversation continues to come back to not getting torched by Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, which is why this week, defensive coordinator Wade Phillips and cornerback Sam Shields said they've been working on plastering, meaning that when a play breaks down, when Aaron Rodgers breaks containment and starts a scramble drill, that they've got to find a receiver and stick with him until the play ends. As for maintaining their focus to keep their unbeaten streak alive, Rams wide receiver Brandon Cooks said that part's easy.
I think at the end of the day, when you take 1 week at a time, you truly buy into that, is when you get special things. And it's when you start to look into the future where, good things happen from that. So just taking 1 week at a time, taking every day on what it is, and just going out there, focus on the task at hand and let everything else take care of itself.
To emphasize that point, left guard Roger Saffold said, "There is no self-righteousness among us. We know that if there is no humility, if we think individually, it will destroy us in the locker room and on the field. We are a team."
Steve Weich, thank you very much. Now let's have a look at Aaron versus top 3 scoring offense, and it's not very Rodgers-esque. 0-4 when it's a track meet, so hopefully Green Bay, they brought their running shoes. So MJD, how can the Packers keep up with this Rams offense?
Cole Wright, they have to run the ball. I know you have arguably the greatest quarterback of all time behind center, but you have to lean on Aaron Jones in that running game. If you're able to run the ball against the Rams, keep that vicious pass rush from Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers, and Ndamukong Suh on the sideline, or even stopping and getting off blockers, you have a chance. If you don't, the Rams have put together one of the greatest defensive line fronts in history. I think if you have Aaron Donald destroying linebackers or destroying linemen into quarterbacks, destroying quarterbacks, puts pressure on that quick passing game for the Packers, it won't work. Back to you, Cole. And I'm not a homer like Rod. Oh. I gave you a reason for the Packers to win.
Sounds like a lot of hateration in this dancery.
No hate at all. No hate at all.
Thank you very much as always. Let's take a trip to the infirmary if you don't mind. A few headed into the weekend, bumped and bruised. Leonard Fournette, A.J. Boye out with that calf. Dalvin Cook and Vontaze Burfict also out. Khalil Mack, you know what they say. Good pass rushers, they're hard to find, man. He's questionable with that pesky ankle.
We are 100 days and counting to Super Bowl 53. Who actually has a shot?
And, the guy had 2 hands. He was off balance. So I think somebody owed me an apology. I don't know who it is. But somebody owed me an apology.
I mean, they're laughing, but I'm not sure he's kidding. And Deshaun Watson's not playing either. All swagged out. And check out what he did during the game here. 4th and goal from the 2, buying time, escaping the rush, travels 34 yards on the ground to throw the ball 2 yards to Jordan Thomas, who, by the way, a big help in the red zone last night. 2 touchdowns for them there. 2 of Watson's 5 touchdowns on the night. The sophomore quarterback with more touchdown passes than incompletions turns in a nearly perfect passer rating. And he wasn't the only one with a good night. D-Hop, a couple of scores. Lamar Miller, another 100-yard game. Another win for the Texans. Did suffer a loss in the process, though, and Ian Rappaport has that story.
The Texans had a big-time win against the Miami Dolphins last night, but it did not come without a cost. Receiver Will Fuller, one of the budding young stars in their offense, who had a 75-yard touchdown against the Dolphins, is out for the season with a torn ACL. This happened on a play down near the goal line, and Fuller hit the deck and immediately started clutching for his knee. Initial tests on the field did show a torn ACL, and later the MRI confirmed that. Now the Texans, after that big-time performance last night, have to go on without one of their playmakers. The only silver lining here is that Kiki Kuti, another young receiver, is expected to return shortly from a hamstring. Meanwhile, Jonathan Joseph, one of their standout cornerbacks, left the game with an ankle injury and was seen after the game in a walking boot. But that sprained ankle is not expected to be serious.
That full Fuller loss, a big one. Their leading receiver from last night, 124 yards. Wonder if they'll make a move to bring someone in before the trade deadline, because they look like they found a rhythm last night, and they are definitely in the playoff mix, as you see here, and you'd hate to see them lose ground because of an injury. Their schedule is super favorable from here on out, Rod Woodson. You were at that game last night calling it for radio. The team you saw there, one that you think can make a run in the AFC?
You know, you look at the Patriots, they're the number one team. Until you beat Tom Brady in the playoffs, then I'm still giving the Patriots the nod. The Chiefs are outstanding, especially if that defense comes around. And I like everything I saw with the Houston Texans. Only thing that scares me is you lose Fuller. That secondary is banged up and beat up.
Yeah.
I like the Pittsburgh Steelers still. I like the Ravens still. I think their defenses, I think they'll come along. Offensively, we know they can score, at least the Pittsburgh Steelers can. Defensively, I think the Ravens can stop anybody else, and I think they can stop this offense a little bit. So I still think that they're in the mix, talking about the Houston Texans, but I'm still impressed a little bit with the Steelers, and I'm impressed with the Ravens and how good they've played so far with the defensive side of it.
Deshaun Watson says that they can be the best offense in the league. Do you see the pieces there to agree?
Absolutely, but now my question is, who takes Fuller's spot? Because he was the player that took the top off the defense. I mean, he threw a pass in the second quarter to Fuller. He outran both of the DBs. They had no answer for that. You can't teach speed in this league. So who replaces him to take the top off of the defense when they start playing again?
Like I said, I'll be interested to see if they go out and get somebody or if they just look for an answer in-house.
So keep him a player for him. He was a player for us, so have him.
But he was a player with Fuller.
With Fuller, but he was. I mean, you know, is he going to be that speed guy? He was that slot guy running the deep crossing routes and whatnot. He was a little playmaker in the slot, but can he be that guy taking the top off of defense? That's going to be the question that needs to be answered.
Well, I mentioned their schedule. They've got 8 games remaining. Only.
It is a grown man's game, and number 27, Kareem Hunt, he is a grown man, led the NFL in rushing yards in 2017. He's looking to do more of the same this year, currently sitting at 3rd. And Kareem, thanks for joining the show. And you had a big win, of course, the last time out, and you had a big run, and you got some big love from a running back named Barry Sanders. I don't know if you saw that out there on social media, but how'd that make you feel first and foremost?
Definitely, I saw that, and, you know, it made me feel real good to see, you know, like a Hall of Fame running back at that caliber, you know, give me good props, and, you know, it's a good feeling.
When you think back about running backs who played the game before you, who have you patterned your game after, my man?
It's a lot of running backs. I kind of like to take a little bit of pieces from everybody's game, you know. So I used to like Ricky Williams a lot. Reggie Bush was a beast.
I'll make sure I pass that message along to Reggie Bush, our co-worker here at NFL Network. Now, you Kansas City Chiefs, when you guys get in the end zone, those touchdown celebrations, they've looked pretty good so far. Now, who's the choreographer there, and which one of your team members has the worst rhythm by far?
I'd have to say, I mean, we all kind of come up with it. You know, we put our minds together and, you know, all kind of make a vote like, yeah, I think we like that, we like that. So, and it's kind of hard. It might be Pat. Pat might have the, you know, worst rhythm on the team.
Our NFL.com senior writer, Jeffrey Chadilla, he was at the game versus Cincinnati. He was looking to take the temperature of those Kansas City fans to feel how they feel about Patrick Mahomes and his impact on the city. But when it comes to the locker room, when it comes to the huddle, how impactful has he been so far this year?
Oh, he's been great. You know, he's a phenomenal quarterback, a phenomenal leader, and, you know, it's just good to have somebody on your team like that. You know, he never gives up on a play, and, you know, I feel like we feed off that, and, you know, I feed off that because I feel like when I run the ball, I don't want to give up on a play, and I just love the way he comes out ready to play the game, and he comes ready every day. He hypes the team up, and, you know, you can't ask for more from your quarterback.
Big-time comeback win versus the Denver Broncos Week 4. Speaking of the Denver Broncos, you take them on this week. What was your biggest takeaway from the last time you guys crossed paths?
Definitely, you know, playing in their environment, that was definitely a tough. Mile High was definitely loud, and they came ready. And I take away that they came ready to play. They played hard and did a great job of, you know, describing some pressures and stuff like that. So I feel like we'll be prepared.
All right. Now, Kareem, before we let you go real quick.
Mahomes is doing Remember last time they played Denver in week 4, that was the left-handed pass game. So they know as well as anybody the things that this guy is capable of and vice versa, of course, Maurice. Because remember, this Denver team kind of kept them in check until the final quarter last time. What do they need to do this time to go the distance?
Well, hopefully they take the play calling from Eric Bieniemy because he's been on fire lately. Shout out to you. Great job, EB.
Your former running back
That's my
coach
guy.
at
Yeah, I always
UCLA.
like to give. Yeah, he does a great job.
Okay.
But let's all say it together because I think everyone says it. Inside pressure. You have to get pressure from the inside. For me, it's Derek Wolfe has to have a huge game. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb are going to do a great job keeping the quarterback there. Derek Wolfe has to dominate in the passing game and the running game. He has to make sure that he's all around here. Again, this throw, when you're putting pressure on him and continue to do that, you'll have great plays. And I love when defensive linemen, they don't get an initial rush, they put their hands up and they kind of bat the ball down. Those things end up sticking in quarterbacks' minds. Like, I got to get the ball out higher. I got to get the ball out higher. Here, you did it to my Bruin. A little sad about that. But if he makes plays and can play like that on a consistent basis, they'll have a great chance of slowing down this offense.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to, join in there, if this was interactive.
I'm sorry.
Inside pressure.
Oh, let's do it again. Let's one more time. 1, 2, 3. Inside pressure. That's how you beat
Okay,
him.
there you go. Broncos also might want to stick to the ground game this time. Went away from that in the fourth last time, just 3 rushes for 6 yards. We've got a guy here who had a lot more than that on this day back in 1997. A little flashback Friday for you. And how about your boy Terrell Davis going for 207 against the Bills?
Get out of there. Just stuck him.
Can we talk about the 42 carries?
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
My goodness. What's your highest?
33.
42.
Look, if you give me 42, you got to pay me twice. Okay? You get a little extra. I give you some overtime or something. You're going to give me 42 carries. My goodness.
I don't think it works that way, but I like that as a negotiating tactic. An incentive clause. All right, he trusted Amari Cooper enough to trade a first-round pick to get him, but Jerry Jones does not trust himself. The Cowboys owner will explain on the way.
To form. Now, Brady, 12th in the league, currently in passing yards, also with 16 touchdowns to boot, and he's done it the hard way. So let's check in with Mike Giardi with a Patriot personnel breakdown for TB12.
Is this the best collection of weapons Tom Brady has ever had? Well, if you go back to 07-08, that record-breaking season, probably not. But Sean McDermott, the Bills coach, believes that he really is surrounded with some elite-level talent right now, and their offense is extremely difficult to defend. His terrific young cornerback, Tre'Davious White, echoing the same thing, saying basically, look, they can morph in from one thing to another, and it's very hard for you to deal with because you can stop that, and then quickly they become something else. Patriots have certainly upgraded their offense in recent weeks with Josh Gordon joining the lineup in week 4 and then Julian Edelman coming off his PED suspension in week 5. They expect to have Rob Gronkowski back as well on Monday night in Buffalo. And Tom Brady's hoping they can hang 50 on somebody. They felt like they've left points on the board. And maybe that happens Monday night in Buffalo.
Don Shane, Mike, how about Tuesday? Panthers defensive end Julius Peppers was in South Carolina helping those affected by Hurricane Florence. Peppers, along with volunteers, donating 100% of the materials and tools for said project. Now, back in September, the UNC alum donating $100,000 to create the Julius Peppers Hurricane Relief Fund. In Seattle, the Seahawks will honor their late owner Paul Allen, versus Detroit and for the rest of the season with a patch with Allen's initials, PGA, with a 12th man flag flying on high. Allen died October 15th after losing a bout with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And Cowboys' new acquisition, wide receiver Amari Cooper, who was dealt to the boys for a 2019 first-round draft pick, hard at practice twice this week with Dallas in hopes of opening up the playbook as well as adding length to that Dallas offensive attack. Jerry Jones, he's a Cooper fan, but he couldn't tell us ahead of the move.
From the standpoint of visiting with media, frankly, I had this trade on my mind. I had several things on my mind, and I didn't want them all around. And so the best way not to, I can't keep a secret.
Might have noticed that.
And so the bottom line is I thought it best just to move on.
Can't trust Jared with that inside info. And looking ahead to next Thursday, we'll be in San Fran. Battle of the Bay, Raiders, Niners. And for the first time since a season-ending knee injury, we hear from Niners quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo on watching the game from the sideline. That torn ACL, never a good thing. Let's listen up to Jimmy G.
It's strange. It's strange. Yeah, the first couple, I was down in L.A. just watching them on the couch. And then this last one, I got to go to the game and sit in the box and watch it. And it's a completely different perspective. I mean, you feel like a coach almost. And so there's little things like that I've, tried to find a silver lining of how I could, take advantage of this extra time. I'll never be given time like this again. So it's just, you have to take advantage of what you're given, I guess.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo's out for the year, so no need in detailing what he's going through right now. Let's get you up to speed on some bumps and bruises ahead of game day. Leonard Fournette, A.J. Boye, both out for Jacksonville. And speaking of those Minnesota Vikings, Anthony Barr and Xavier Rhodes out and questionable, respectively. And Cooper Kupp, doubtful, that knee injury still lingering.
We started the point of attack of being physical.
Campaign still scarred from the effects of Harvey and the disappointment of 2017. But with a new outlook on life and on football.
The community is still healing, and it's been a long, slow process, but we love football here. That stadium out there is filled from bottom to top on Friday nights.
Dickinson is just a very tight-knit community and loves its football, and Friday nights does a great job of bringing everybody together.
He's at Weidemeyer, Jalen Weidemeyer with the reception. He cuts loose. Jalen Weidemeyer, he's in for the score.
I didn't get everything back that I lost in the storm, but I got what I can, and I'm thankful for that.
They've rebuilt. It's made them stronger. It's made them tougher. It's helped them to become a little closer, not only with their personal families, but with their Dickinson family, with the Gator family.
Touchdown, Gators!
Nothing like the Friday night lights of Texas high school football. And the Dickinson High Gators are a great example of the resilience of the greater Houston area. And of course, the Texans' J.J. Watt, among the NFL players who have done more than their part to contribute to that recovery effort. Now, for the first time since 2016, those Jacksonville Jags, they've lost. Ready to roll. Rich, Mooch, Kurt, and Irv don't miss out. In the meantime, 13-3 a season ago, but the Jags currently 3-4, and they're desperately in need of a win. They've dropped 3 straight and 4 of the last 5. This weekend, some home cooking on the road at Wembley for the boys. So it's time now for an NFL London game update presented by On Location Experiences, where Melissa Stark caught up with Telvin Smith.
Jaguars back in London. They're home away from home. First of all, you got the Fulham scarf rocking. That's Shad Khan's team over here.
Come on, of course. Now we rep it. We're making sure we hold it down 10 toes down.
Not to be a downer, but it's been a little rough the last couple weeks. Lost 3 in a row. You had a little locker room issue after the game. Blake Bortles, bench. I mean, how do you guys turn this around?
We just continue to believe in each other, and we use everything that we go to build, and that's what we're doing, and that's what I love about this team. We are really banding together, becoming that band of brothers that make the championship teams.
Well, and you guys are really supporting Bortles. I mean, Calais Campbell's saying, when I look in his eyes, I see a competitor. What do you guys see that maybe the critics don't?
A guy who's not only wanting to and ready to prove himself to the team, but just ready to show the team, like, I'm here for y'all and I'm fighting just as hard as y'all. So that's why we rallying behind him, because he ain't gave up on us. We can't give up on him.
I know you guys worked on securing the football, also taking the football away, right? Is that pretty much what this week was all about?
Takeaways.
You could do a little dance.
You feel me? Listen, but it's gonna be solid, man. It's been an emphasis. We got to crank it up as a defense. We know that we are a very infectious group, and we can be effective on the offensive side when we start getting turnovers. So we got to make sure we come out fiery hot tomorrow and ready to go.
You got to get your swagger back.
Come on now, listen. We swagger is like sauce. You'll never lose sauce. You just, got to dap into it a little bit and get deep in it.
Or a little more on.
That's it. You feel me?
Well, you don't want too much sauce all over your fingers. Jags with a little swag like a Cam Newton hat. And speaking of, over the last 2 years, Mr. Newton, well, he's had his way when it comes to those top 5 scoring defenses. So, Rod Woodson, defensive specialist. How should Cam and company attack the Ravens D?
The way you slow down a defense is run right at them. You got a number 4 rushing offense in the league, and little sweet, Christian McCaffrey. He got to run the football, let him get after that front line, and then Cam Newton, be it scrambling, be it a called quarterback run, they have to use him and use that big body to go against this really good defense for the Baltimore Ravens. If they can get that done, it could be a good game, Cole.
After the break, the question is not Raiders or Colts. The question is Derek Carr or Andrew Luck. It's not Seahawks or Lions. It's Carson or Johnson. Fantasy decisions you have to make. Fantasy advice MJD is ready to give. Next on NFL Total Access.
At AutoZone.
Who's going to deliver this weekend, MJD? Who delivers better than FedEx? Nobody, right?
Unless you give me the pill, then I can give it to you how you want it.
Yeah,
get you the end
deliver.
zone, get you a first down. I like to score, though.
Okay, but let's move along, and let's let everybody know who is going to deliver. We're going to start with some of those running backs. T.J. Yeldon, Carlos Hyde. Who's delivering?
Listen, T.J. Yeldon's done a great job in the absence of Leonard Fournette, but it has to be Carlos Hyde, and he's going to give you that trophy. Go ahead and get him and play him because Jacksonville loves to run the ball. This is a guy who can carry the ball 30 times a game. We've seen him do it in San Francisco. We saw it early in the year here for the Browns. He has to be the guy. The Jacksonville Jaguars want to run the ball, keep that defense off the field, and let Blake Bortles play action pass off it. Who is the GOAT in London, by the way?
That's their home away from home.
The greatest of all time in the UK.
In London.
In the UK.
Maybe we can get that man right there in a Jags practice jersey sometime or another. Let's go to the quarterbacks because Andrew Luck, Derek Carr, someone's going to deliver this weekend. I want you to tell me who it's going to be.
Okay, listen. One of these guys is going to be the flying cash symbol, but it's going to go over here. Andrew Luck.
You live in Oakland, right?
I love Oakland.
Okay.
I love the Raiders. I grew up a Raiders fan. But look, Andrew Luck, they're throwing the ball a ton. He's finally starting to get ready with T.Y. Hilton. They're getting their chemistry back. He does a great job. And guess what? I think the Raiders are going to stop the run, and they're going to force Andrew Luck to throw the ball. He's the guy to go.
All right, let's check out some of those pass catchers. The wide receiver position coming up next.
Ooh.
Mike Evans or Ash Green. Some folks call him AJ. What do you think?
Listen, I say play both these guys. It's fire. Big fire.
Like Dylon?
Yeah, Dylon.
Top 5 MCs.
No, top 5 wide receivers are going to be A.J. Green, Mike Evans, A.J. Green, Mike Evans,
A.J. Green,
Mike
okay,
Evans.
that makes a lot of
Give you
sense.
6. Listen, both defenses struggle against the pass. Both receivers are on fire right now. You see they got the big fire. That's how it goes.
Running back, that's your forte. Chris Carson or Kerryon Johnson?
I'm going to go with the guy that says carry in his name.
That's true.
Carry on, because he's going to carry on.
Okay.
This dude's been balling. Now, I know LeGarrette Blount's been stealing those touchdowns. That happens. But when you run the ball the way this young man's been running the last couple weeks, I say that in order to beat the Seattle Seahawks, they have to lean on this young man. They found their running back. He's the guy to go with.
The first Lion running back to go over that 100-yard mark since our very own Reggie Bush.
Yeah, he did it twice.
That's right. And this is our fantasy advice presented by FedEx.
Happy birthday, Tommy.
Tommy.
Happy birthday, man.
Get all those Cowboys out of your lineup because they are off this week, resting up to make a second half run. And when I say resting, I mean it. Offensive tackle Tyron Smith apparently very serious about his sleep, as you'll see right now in this week's Gaining Greatness presented by Sleep Number.
Good morning, Metroplex. It's a Cowboys Monday. Everybody in a good mood after the dramatic comeback win yesterday in Arlington.
And Phillip Rivers, who has the most games with a 100-plus passer rating. Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, and James Conner are tied for the league lead with 300-yard rushing games. And Adam Thielen has 700-yard receiving games. That's every game this season. As for the teams most likely to play in that Super Bowl in 100 days, this is the way the playoff picture looks right now with the Chiefs and Rams atop their respective conferences, followed closely by the Patriots and the Saints. No, there's a lot of football left to be played, but the first half of the season has been a pretty good predictor in years past. Since 1990, only 3 Super Bowl winners have had fewer than 6 wins after Week 8. With that in mind, why are you holding cupcakes?
It's my dog Tommy's birthday. Come here, Tommy. Come on up here, bro. Happy birthday, Tommy.
Tommy Trouble.
My man. Tommy, you don't want to come up. Here, got blow him out real quick.
Blow him out real quick.
There you go. There we go. Tommy, the only cat I know that's going to rep L.A. and Seattle at the same time.
Seattle Mariners.
Give him a cupcake.
All right.
He's in the doghouse right about now.
So we know Tommy has the Seahawks making a rabid comeback and going to the Super Bowl. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with Rams and Chiefs. It's an offensive game right now. I know people get a little bit talking about defense, but I think the Rams and the Chiefs are going to do a great job.
Tommy said I'm out of here.
your answer from the... No, I didn't. I never switch up. Okay.
I'm going with the Rams and the Steelers.
Oh, now you're not talking about Homer.
Steelers, but the Rams are going to win.
You're talking about Homer. My bad, I got in your single because you over here being a Homer. Look at Homer. The Rams are undefeated. I mean, it's a very logical situation. And so the Chiefs, I feel like, are the best.
Why are you feeling good about Texans and Saints? In Atlanta, coming from the South, both.
Atlanta?
They be hating that down there in Atlanta.
What?
Well,
Atlanta?
Super Bowl is in Atlanta. That's where it's going.
Oh, no. Maybe the Jags.
I don't know what you guys are talking about just eliminating the Patriots
No, I was going to say
like
the
that.
Jags.
They're right there. They're always there at the end.
With who?
Hey,
Rams, Patriots.
you know who else going to make it to that Super Bowl? Tommy, you going to come with me to the Super Bowl if they let you. I don't know if they will, though.
Dan Marino.
You might
Go Dodgers.
Danny.